Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It's a bye week. I am looking for different avenues to give you content, and I've decided to check out Ole Miss Club Hockey, I should say. I'm so used to saying football and basketball that I just naturally do it. But as Ole Miss Club Hockey, we got Russ Eddins in the house, and he's gonna introduce us to Ole Miss Club Hockey. How you doing, Russ?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, I am absolutely fantastic. Okay, so this is a club sport, so it's not a varsity sport, which basically means it doesn't get the funding scholarship-wise that
Yeah,
the varsity programs do. But the Ole Miss club team competes pretty regularly. Where do you play games?
we play in about an hour north of Oxford in Olive Branch, Mississippi.
Okay, I'm familiar with that. Now, how long has Ole Miss had a club hockey team, and how does one put that together? Because that seems like an expensive sport.
So it was founded by Colin Knight in 2009. So they've been around for over 10 years now. As far as putting it together goes, I wasn't around for that, obviously. So I don't really know the process of making the team. But the CHS, College Hockey South, which is the league we're in, they're always willing to expand into different teams. So the process, yeah, it's not cheap to play hockey. It's not cheap at all, especially down south with the with the heat, year round just about. But it's definitely a growing sport in the south. But as far as making the team like come together, you need a lot of funding. You need donors who are willing to say, "I'm willing to put this money into the program and develop it." And so that's probably how it started. Colin Knight might have said, I'm willing to make a hockey team at Ole Miss, so here's some money to go do that. And I actually met him a couple months ago. Nice guy, but I've only seen him once. I think he's in Texas now, but I think it started by Colin Knight saying, "I want to make a hockey team," and so he made a hockey team with his money. He put money in the program.
Okay. So it all started up from scratch, and you've been doing this. I guess this is the 14th year of Ole Miss hockey.
hmm
So how has it grown just in the time that you've been doing it?
Well, we now the CHS now it's a D1 division, or they have a top league now. So it's D1, D2, D3, and then they also have a women's league. Last year there was no D1, there was no women's league. It was just D2, and I think this year they officially added D3. So the teams are now, I think there's 38 teams in CHS. The league is always it's constantly going up and down as far as like who's where. Like Arkansas, they were in the SECHC 4 years ago, a few years ago, but then that league rebranded to the CHS, which is what we know what we have now. Um, so it's grown a lot as far as teams go. As far as like hockey as a whole in the South, I know Georgia's getting a rink. They're getting a major rink on campus. Auburn's thinking about it, and so more teams are getting rinks, which is going to be vital to the expansion of hockey in the South. Because right now, all the players, and I'm not a player, but myself included, I have to drive down, this week 3 times all the branch or up to all the branch. Once on a school night, twice on the weekend, and drive back and get home at 12:30. So with those rinks here, hockey's is gonna do a lot better. Players don't have to, put their stuff, their smelly equipment in the dorm room or something. They can carry it with them and they can put it in the locker room at the rink, which is going to be huge for the teams as a whole. And so right now, hockey's going in the right direction in the South. It's definitely growing. I've noticed a big change the past year alone.
What type of an investment would a rink be? That seems like a very expensive arena.
Yeah, so I think a temporary rink is close to $300,000, but that's just I've heard that one time. I listened to a couple college hockey podcasts, and I get ads about rinks, rink creation and rink management sort of stuff all the time on there. So there are definitely companies who are willing to do it, but it's getting the funding down here is the problem. That being said, club hockey, or especially Ole Miss, they are a top club team. So they get more money. It's what I've heard from several sources, I believe. That they get more money than other programs because of their skill and I guess just the overall attraction to the sport. So like Ole Miss has 29 club sports. Hockey's one of them. Equestrian, there's men's soccer. Those sports might not get as much money as hockey. Um, and so there's definitely it's not a big amount of money, but it's definitely more than other club sports. And we just need to try to grow that, get some funding into the league and expand really.
So you play in the CHS and it's
Mhm.
39 teams. Where is Ole Miss in the D1, D2? I mean, how's that set up?
Right now they're in D2. So right now I believe Georgia. I just got it pulled up here. Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, South Carolina, and the University of Tampa are all D1.
Okay.
So the reason why it was changed from the SECHC, the Southeastern Collegiate Hockey Conference, to the CHS is because it's not just SEC schools. It's Tampa. Let me see who else is actually in there. Tampa, Georgia Tech, MTSU, Clemson. They're all in the CHS. So it didn't make sense to call it the SEC when it's not just SEC schools. Obviously, several teams have actually left the league to go play in a different conference. So it's like the NCAA has, SEC, Pac-12, and all those leagues like inside of it. It's like an umbrella organization. So there's the ACHA is a different league, and it's like its own NCAA. It's not as good as the NCAA, but it's still the same sort of thing. And so they have divisions within that. Um, and the AAU, which is the one Ole Miss is in, they have CHS. They have a couple others that I don't really pay attention to, but I know that they have the CHS. They have other schools, other leagues around the southeastern part of the country. And yeah, so the league it's a little complicated, but it's more complicated than your football leagues for college. But once you understand it, it's pretty straightforward.
How does Ole Miss hockey recruit? Because obviously you can't give scholarships. You're as good of a team as you are. I mean, how do you get those players?
So a lot of that comes down to just want to be in the South. You're coming down here to SEC school. It's not just football or baseball. You can't play sports here. And it's some of these guys are from the Northeast, and they're coming down here to play hockey. But there's no way for us to go up north and say, "Hey, come play for us." They have to come here. As simple as that. They have to buy in to the school itself. So a big selling point is the fact that on football probably, in the environment, the square, this really the environment and the atmosphere of the Ole Miss campus is why a lot of people come here. I'm from Oxford, but I know a lot of people who are here because it's the environment really. And so that's the big selling point I think is that since we can't go out and recruit, we're really fortunate to have a great campus and a great, I guess you say Greek life as well. That a lot of guys are willing to come down from Northeast or from Texas even, some guys from out west, and come here to play hockey. And it's just really fortunate to have a good campus.
Let's turn our attention right now to the actual Ole Miss hockey team.
Mm.
What is their outlook for this season? Has it started? When's the season go to and from? How can people see it?
So the season started back in September. It was September 15th, I believe. They played Georgia Tech, which is a divisional opponent. The season will end in February. Hope for us, I hope it ends in March because that's when the playoffs are. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I do know that it definitely the regular season ends in February. And so you have the CHS playoffs, and then I'm not really sure about this one. This was last year we didn't make the playoffs, so I don't really know about that yet. I haven't experienced that. But so you have the CHS playoffs, and then you have the SECHC playoffs, which I assume is just SEC schools, but I can't really confirm that. I've never been there. So right now the season outlook it's actually pretty good. We have a lot of young guys on the team. We've got just enough returning guys from last year that are veterans. I know Shane Bright is one that comes to mind when it comes to veterans. Good hockey player, but even better guy, honestly. I don't know him very well off the ice. I talked to him a lot of time on the ice, but he's definitely a leader on the team. We've it's hard to get guys to commit, fully. I mean, they might love hockey, but they've got school and they've got illnesses coming up, social life, like for things for their fraternities. So we have to find a way to get them to buy into things. And this year the buy-in is pretty good. It's not great, but it's significantly better than last year. And right now we're going in the right direction. So this year we're going to compete for the playoffs. I don't mean it's not a lock. Just to be honest with you, it's not a lock. But coming off last year, which is just a bad year, probably the worst year we've ever had as a program, being able to compete in the playoffs like we are like going to be doing this season is massive in my opinion. We're taking the right step. And so next year we might be able to, develop some of these guys like Mike O'Malley, Cooper Fox, Jake Keller, are all guys who are on the same line who are dominant this year. Two are two are sophomores, one's a freshman. One more season, and they could be even more dominant together. And it's that development aspect that the coaches are looking for, and that's what we're going to be looking for really in the next year or so is just development of players. That's what I think they should, or that's what I've been thinking is that these players just need some time to develop. And so this year might not be the year that we win it all, but we're going in the right direction, and it's very exciting to see where we're going, especially with the younger guys who are going to be here for 4 years or so, or 4 years now. I don't think they're going to leave early to go somewhere else. So it's really exciting to see this young core of players who are going to turn to veterans, and then it's going to keep on going. We'll have newer guys come in. We'll have the veterans to lock them down, and it's really exciting to see the future of the team.
And the games in Olive Branch, how many people do y'all get in those games?
Recently, turnout has been, it's been good. A lot of people sit in like the warmer area, which is like the lobby. So I don't like see them all the time. They're behind some windows. It's usually pretty full in there. As far as the seating itself goes, I mean, you can probably fit a couple hundred in there. I know that they do line up around the glass, like it's like this. You can't see that on audio, but it's like a semicircle or get the shape. I don't know. I'm thinking of that, but they sit in the bleachers and they go around it, and they wrap around that like the glass. If you see a hockey rink, you know what I'm talking about. They wrap around it. And so this weekend, I'm hoping it's full. I've advertised it in the paper. We've got a really massive series coming up against Clemson. It's really good this year or so far. So I'm hoping to see a packed house tomorrow night, Saturday afternoon. Friday nights are typically more packed than the next day. I'm not sure why. It's late at night. You're not going to get until 1 probably after the game. But it's we have good turnouts generally. You can skate like an hour before the game and then go watch the game. So it's a lot of fun. The environment's pretty nice. You can hear the players chirping, like smack talking each other on the ice. There's no fighting in the league, unfortunately, but you do see some skirmishes out there. So it's a really good environment, and we've had some really good crowds. Even last year, which was not a very good year, we had some really good crowds, and this year, I hope we're able to bump that up because we are a significantly better team than last year.
Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Russ Eddins, Ole Miss Hockey, joining us today. Thank you very much, man.
Thank you.